Thank you. Thank you for joining us for Couch and Court Issues. And my name is Carla Ambrose. I'm a therapist, and I'm here with my husband, Mark, family law attorney. We're both excited about being here and glad you've joined us, where we talk about real-life problems that impact the family. I am just so excited today because we have two very special guests presenting a very special organization. So today we have Santine and we have Larry from NAMI, National Alliance of Mental Illness. And we're going to have a great discussion with them, too. And I'm just so glad they're here to join us.
All right. Thank you, Larry and Santine, for being here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about NAMI and the programs that NAMI offers?
NAMI, or NAMI, we say it both ways in our organization, is, as Carla said, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And we are a group of family members and people with mental illness who support each other in getting resources and learning how to get well and recover from mental illness. Most of what we offer is peer-based, so we have peer support groups and classes. And our peer support groups, we have separate groups for family members and for people living with a mental illness, and they're all led by people who have walked the same walk. So we have people with mental illness who have learned how to manage their symptoms well, leading the support groups and classes for others who are going through that process. And then we also have family members who support other family members through leading support groups and through teaching classes. And they're sort of health education classes that we offer. When anyone is diagnosed with a new illness, whether it's cancer or diabetes or heart disease, there's a learning process. A person needs to learn, what is this illness? What are the treatments that are available? And how have other people coped with this? Those are the kinds of things that we cover in our classes and we help people with through our support groups. We also do public presentations to educate the public about mental health issues. There's a lot of stigma surrounding mental illness, and so one thing that we have found is that a lot of times when someone is having some symptoms of mental illness, they are so ashamed and embarrassed about it that they don't seek help and they don't ask questions about it and they don't learn that treatment is available. And so our public presentations help educate people and help reduce the stigma. We also have an information helpline. People can call our office to ask questions about resources in the community that are available to them and about how they navigate the mental health crisis. And we have monthly meetings where guest speakers come and talk about various topics relating to mental health. And we also do advocacy, and we have an event coming up, a stigma-busting event called the NAMI Walk, the Northern California NAMI Walk, on April 27th.
You know, what I love about NAMI is it's so inclusive, and that's why we're here. And later on, we're going to do a lot of talk about what the community can do. And when they talk about family, it's how you define a family. So family can be friends, friends of the family, friends from church groups. Anyone who consider them part of a family is a family. So it's for everyone. It's inclusive, including the church. Thanks a lot.
Larry, what would you like to share regarding NAMI?
Well, I'm very concerned about faith-based communities. And I wanted to emphasize right from the get-go, communities help people. I guess that's the whole definition of a community. And there's a list of things that faith-based communities can do to specifically help our friends, our neighbors, our moms, our dads, our brothers, our sisters who have to live with a mental health problem. Number one, uppermost in my mind is that we should give them a warm welcome. And we should support them by loving them unconditionally. And by unconditionally, I mean without judgment, because this importantly gives a person a safe feeling. And it allows that person to express their needs and to overcome feelings of rejection. I can say more on this, right, but I'll pass it to Santine for now and get into the more details of how we can help later.
Larry, since you mentioned a little bit about the faith-based community, can you share a little bit about FaithNet NAMI?
Yeah. Some years ago, NAMI, when it was forming its programs, developed a program called NAMI FaithNet. For those of you who are interested in learning more about this program, you can go to our website, www.nami.org/FaithNet. That should pop up the webpage that gives you information about it. This is a network of NAMI members and friends dedicated to promoting caring faith communities and promoting the role of faith in recovery for individuals and their families affected by mental illness. There are a series of programs offered under FaithNet. One is called Bridges of Hope, one is called Reaching Out to Faith Communities, and another one is called Sharing Hope. Santine, do you have more to add on that?
Yes, the other things that are available through NAMI FaithNet, there's information for clergy. A lot of times clergy are the first person that someone turns to when they're in distress, but few clergy members feel prepared to respond effectively to those experiencing a psychiatric disturbance. So NAMI can provide information and resources to clergy and answer their questions so clergy can be prepared to guide people in a time of crisis. On the NAMI FaithNet website, there's inspirational quotes and prayers that can be used in a church group. There's also discussion topics and sample sermons that are available on our website in the FaithNet area. The other things that can happen through our FaithNet program is there's specific presentations targeted to faith communities that talk about how people's faith can help them get through times of crisis, including mental illness.
You know, Mark, the reason I really wanted to bring NAMI here is because the faith-based community, especially the Christian community, is about winning souls for Christ. I know a minimum of 20% of our congregation is impacted by mental health illness, either the person or the family. And this is like a lot of illnesses, but more so that when a person in your family is affected by mental illness, you are impacted greatly. Not as much as the person, but the magnitude of the issue and the extremity combined with the shame and the silence, it just takes over your world. So as Christians that want to outreach, our church is just an awesome place. And I believe the reason we're not doing more is because we don't know what to do. And I believe people who know more to do will do more. So I think it's really important. And I just want to stress some of the things Larry said earlier is that inclusive. And if that's not what church is about, is being inclusive to nothing else. So this is really the avenue in which we can grow and educate people. Santine shared how people could come into the church and share. We could bring people who are struggling and who are recovering and living with mental illness, and they are trained and they are magnificent people. They can come in and they can talk to your congregation on any level you're willing to have them come. And you can contact NAMI. They are willing to work with you on any level you're ready to. So it's possible. And the church can be the leader in doing this for the rest of the community. And that's what I'm so excited about. And I just want you guys to tune in today and stay and listen to us so we can hear more and more about this and we can get rid of the shame and the stigma. And people who are struggling can speak out about it more so we can be more in tune. Thanks a lot.
Yes, NAMI is always willing to speak before a church group, whether it's from the pulpit or in a close setting of just 2 or 3 people. What we try to do first, though, is to listen. Listening is very important. We listen with compassion, and we also know, hopefully we know, now that we've got some experience doing this, we know when to refer a person to a professional. Mm-hmm. We can listen to an individual's trials and travails, but we have to know when we've gone as far as we can, and it must be in the hands of a professional. We can hope and ask that the congregation, as a group, offers prayers of intercession for this person. We can ask the pastor to advocate from the pulpit for social justice and, for instance, using non-stigmatizing type words, which are so common in our society. Right. We can visit a person who's afflicted by a crisis, a psychotic crisis, when they're hospitalized. Just like Santine said, we need to show our compassion that way. We can step up and we can advocate to political leaders and to the legislative process for mental health funding. We can step up and just help a person find a house or find a job. We can publicize mental health needs in the church bulletin. We can conduct either private or public healing and prayer services on behalf of mental illness. Now, I interpret healing not as some magical put your hand on the radio and you're saved type of process, but rather it's just a healing process which means there is a presence of solace and a sense of wholeness, which you probably would agree with me is a gift from God. Those are just some examples I wanted to mention.
Right. What I like is that what he was talking about is there's no act too small, no congregation's too small. Everyone can do something. He talked about doing things on a very small level, just being there and listening, and to a larger level. So it's every church can get involved in some level of helping those who are struggling with mental illness.
Santi?
Some churches have started support groups within their church for people who are facing a mental health challenge or who have a struggle like that in their family. The groups meets once a month or once a week whenever they decide they want to meet, and they often start with a prayer or some inspirational reading, and then they talk about what are sort of the practical issues that they can do that are going on and how they can work through those and support each other as a group. It really makes a big difference for people to feel that it's okay for them to talk about it in their community. I think sometimes people are afraid to talk about it with others because they're worried others will judge them and think, well, your daughter wouldn't be having this problem if you had brought her to church more often. Or something like that. You know, there's all different kinds of judgments that people can make. So having support groups like that can really help people feel that it's okay to talk about it in their church and in their church community.
Let me ask you this. What advice would you give someone affected by mental illness and their family members?
And their family members. For the individual affected by the mental illness, the advice I would give them is to have faith and have hope and to learn as much as they can about their illness and try every treatment available and everything that's available. In our classes that we teach, our peer-to-peer classes for people with a mental illness, we teach them that there's all different types of treatments available and you need to work on your nutrition. You need to consider medication or other treatments. We don't endorse any one thing, but we encourage people to learn about all the options. Work on getting good sleep, eating healthy food, getting exercise, attending church if that's something that helps lift you up, and reach out for support in the community around you. Do things that you love to do and include all of those in your treatment plan. For a lot of people, their religious involvement is a major part of their health and achieving wellness and getting back on track. In 2009, NAMI published a study which found that almost 30% of individuals living with depression indicated that religion or spiritual practices were very helpful in treating their condition. So it's a very important part of people's health and wellness. And for family members, you also asked about what do we encourage family members to do? Same thing. Learn everything they can and attend support groups and classes and get all the support and information they need so they can figure out how to navigate the world of mental health and help their loved one recover and at the same time take care of themselves.
I'd like to summarize. Tried to make things as simple as possible. Maybe it's because my mind will only grasp simple things. Don't ever give up.
All right.
I say don't ever give up. No matter how bad things get, they can get better. Hold fast to faith.
Great. I just want to say there are communities that's already doing things like drug and alcohol. I'm a drug and alcohol therapist, and I remember when Celebrate Recovery started, it was unknown, and now it's huge. It's in many churches. It's a 12-step program, and it's Christian-based, sort of like AA. And it started with one person going to a church and say, we need to set something up. And now it's growing. Mental health can be that way. It can be that way for the people who are involved in it, the family members. My name is Carla, and I'm here with my husband, family law attorney Mark, and we're also here with Santine and Larry, and we're talking about Christian community and the faith-based community working together to make it happen.
We're talking about mental illness. What are some of the stigmas and discrimination facing the mentally ill, and what can we do to assist in alleviating this?
I personally feel that stigma is one of the things that the stigma against mental illness is one of the greatest stigmas right now. As Carla was mentioning, drug and alcohol problems is something that people have some shame about, but they usually talk about it and are okay about admitting that someone in their family has an addiction or that they've had an addiction. But mental illness is something that is still in the closet, in the dark, in the shadows. Studies show that for all the people who have a mental health condition and need treatment, only a third of those seek treatment in any given year. And we know that stigma is one of the reasons that people don't seek treatment. They're embarrassed and afraid to admit that maybe there's a problem with their brain.
All right. Larry?
Well, I'm going to slide over to something other than just stigma. I'm going to say what I do and what my family does each day, because I have family members who have been living with mental illness for a great part of their lives. we try to say this. We go through a series of exercises. We say, I will recall that I am a child of God. I will embrace my illness or my family member's illness as a friend. I will not allow the stigma of mental illness to defeat me this day. I will talk to someone today who will encourage me to see my goodness and my holiness. I will look for humor and reasons to laugh and be happy. I will walk outdoors, marveling at a sunrise or a sunset. I will delight in the knowledge that we are each created different because it is our differences that make a more powerful and beautiful world. And finally, in God is my hope and my joy. I merely wanted to say that to let people know that there are ways to cope on a daily basis and cope against stigma.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about, at this time, the NAMI Walk.
The NAMI Walk is an awareness raising and fundraising event that NAMI holds every spring in Sacramento in William Land Park. This year, it'll take place on Saturday, April 27th. That's the last Saturday of this month. It's a free event. We do encourage people to get sponsored by their friends or their family members or their neighbors, but they don't have to. Like I said, it's free to attend and free to participate. It is an event that's hosted by NAMI Sacramento as well as NAMI affiliates in other counties, including El Dorado, Yolo, Stanislaus, San Joaquin, and Amador. And the purpose of the event is to raise awareness of the need for more research and better treatments for mental illness and to reduce stigma. And it's a very fun event where we'll have a live band and some wonderful speeches. Senator Darrell Steinberg will be speaking before the event. And for me, as someone who has struggled with mental illness for the last 20 years of my life, it's a very celebratory day, the NAMI Walk. I feel so proud to still be here and to have made it through the dark times that I've made it through. And I think that's how a lot of people feel it, that people who have been through mental illness for themselves or with someone that they care about, we all come out, and it's usually a beautiful sunny day, and it's a non-competitive walk. It's just a very fun sort of casual event, and it's a really inspiring day.
Right, and you can bring your dogs on leashes, and you can bring kids. It's just walking around the park. It's not a walk, so it's just a festive activity.
It's even wheelchair accessible, our walk.
Yeah, it's a true celebration. I really enjoy it.
Right.
Well, Larry, is there any final words you want to add?
No, I've pretty much said it. I've said my piece, and I appreciate being here with you today.
All right. And we enjoy and appreciate both of you guys being here. And, I really love what Larry shared about what the family can do. And what it does is it just takes courage, and it takes everyone to take one step forward. I think about Magic Johnson and the whole AIDS thing. He stepped out in courage, and it changed the whole frame of thought. And so I'm just so proud that they're here. I'm so proud that you guys are joining us. I hope you go to their website. You can just type in NAMI, and you can just come to Sacramento, and it'll tell you more about it. And I just hope everyone just think, what can I do to better mental illness and others? Thanks again for joining us for Couch and Court Issues with family law attorney Mark and myself, Carla, his wife. Hope you join us next week. Thanks again. Thanks, NAMI.
We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Couch and Court Issues. The information provided by Carla and Mark is not intended to establish a therapist-client or attorney-client relationship. If you have any questions regarding you or your family's legal interests, please call attorney Mark Ambrose at 916-492-9170. This program is sponsored by the law offices of Mark Ambrose.